It looks like Eldar Guardians might be levelling up along with the rest of the troops in 40k. Let's talk about the latest leaks, rumours and teasers for the Craftworlders. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where around about a week ago I made a video on the leaks and rumours for the Craftworlds, and weirdly enough it seems like there's two seasonal advent calendars coming out for the pointy-eared space elves. There's that official Games Workshop one where they're showing teasers of a bunch of new models, possibly from a new Eldar vs Chaos box set, and there's also an unofficial Eldari advent calendar full of leaks from someone who's apparently got their hands on a playtest copy of their codex. The model pictures of Rumours so far tie in quite well with getting a Autarch, Rangers and some Ranger jet bikes, and there have been plenty of interesting rules rumours so far, things like Harlequins, Inari and Corsairs all being in this massive Eldar codex, battle focus changing to a move-shoot-move mechanic, and a reported profile for those Shroud Runner jet bikes. I thought today we'd do a bit of a roundup of some of the other things that have come out since, some of which seem like really quite interesting and specific changes. We'll go through the leaked rules first, and then talk through a few of the miniature teaser pictures. So let's start off with some of the rules. Again, these come from the Eldari Discord server. These are absolutely certainly not confirmed yet and should be treated as rumours, though with the sheer extent and plausibility of the leaks, it really does seem like this has come from a playtester's codex to me. Though by its very nature, it does mean that if you are playtesting with this, then things could be changed by the time the actual codex goes into print. It's my guess that the vast majority of this will turn out to be correct, but obviously that isn't 100% confirmed yet, and even if it is, the greater context of the codex might really change things, particularly not knowing things like points costs, which I'm sure wouldn't be set in stone until one of the later stages in development. In any case, I'll leave a link to the server down in the video description, and today I'm going to focus on some of the most specific changes, ones where they've been fairly concrete about stat lines and things. First up, one of the most interesting rumoured changes is a change to the base Guardian squad. Apparently they're going to be going up to mirror the Aspect Warriors with a 4+ armor save, which would kind of be in line with Drakari and the armor change to their Kabbalite Warriors. That doesn't seem too surprising to me, although Eldar Guardians do have quite light armor comparative to plenty of other armies in 40k. They are supposedly quite hardy and high-tech meshwork, and perhaps not too surprised that they might beat out mass-produced Imperial flak armor. I think there's a pretty good chance that Guardians will also be getting a new plastic kit as well with this new release. It seems like a fairly obvious one for them to redo, to be honest. It'd be particularly nice to get the option for Storm Guardians included in the same box, rather than having to buy a slightly terrible resin finecast kit. For all we know, they might well look a little bit up-armoured. In any case, would certainly help them out. It's kind of hard for any infantry to be in any way elite if they just die to a stiff breeze with a 5+ save, and would definitely help Eldar out with having a bit more of a durable unit that could actually take objectives somewhat well. The other big change to them are that Shuriken catapults are 18 inches and AP-1 now across the board. Their Shuriken rule now allowing them to go to AP-3 on wound rolls of a 6, so quite a lot more of an impressive profile all round. I could certainly make Guardians a little bit more interesting and dangerous as line infantry, as opposed to be kind of relegated to jumping out of the webway within 12 inches and hoping for the best. Again, that certainly seems very believable. Most of the time when these new codexes have been coming out, the base stats and weapons for their warriors have been being upgraded. For the Storm Guardians, apparently Eldar chainswords will be getting AP-1. The leak actually calls them chain sabers, so they might be getting a slightly different name, I guess. Again, this wouldn't be too much of a surprise, I think. It'd be a change very similar to the Astartes chainsword. Again, I guess just to show chainswords of a superior craftsmanship. If they are staying at strength 3, I think it's a pretty reasonable change as well. If you were to keep Storm Guardians at strength 3 and AP-0, they'd have to have a ridiculous amount of attacks to be able to threaten anything other than the lightest infantry. Finally, for Storm Guardians, the leak also mentions some sort of rule where they can get a defensive buff, a sort of mini transhuman physiology where wound rolls of 1 or 2 always fail. They don't seem sure whether that's a datasheet ability or a stratagem or something though. In any case, it seems like good news for the Eldar troops. Moving on, Autarchs are apparently going up to 5 attacks base, similar to the Drakari Archon, and again they're kind of lacking specifics, but they do say that they can be quite fighty now. They've given us a new profile for the Shard of Anaris, the Relic Power Sword. Apparently that will now be Strength +1, AP-3, remaining damage 1, but gets you a big D3+3 attacks. Certainly seems pretty solid at hunting light infantry. Even with that many attacks though, it might struggle against heavies, particularly if it's lost multi-damage and the reroll wound rolls. Another change that I find really quite believable in the context of the other 9th edition codexes is a change to wave serpents. The Eldar transports that are famed for being annoyingly hard to kill with their serpent shields. Currently they have a built-in -1 damage, being one of the first vehicles in 8th to get that ability. Now though, it looks like that's going to be changing to a 5+ invul save, and only ever being able to be wounded on a 4+. That will basically be the same rule as Necron Quantum shielding, and that does kind of feel fitting for shrugging off the heaviest firepower. I think in general that's going to be a more powerful defensive buff against the biggest, heaviest anti-tank weapons, generally better against damage 1 things as well, but it would be a bit inferior against damage 2 weapons, which -1 damage it punishes far higher than anything else. Moving on, one other area of the codex that I was interested to see new rules for were all the Wraith units, where I was wondering whether they'd copy the Eldritch Wraith construct special rule from the Forge World compendium. The Wraithseer, who got his rules early in 9th edition, ignores AP -1 and counts it as AP 0 instead. According to this leak though, that isn't going to be the case. The Wraith units are just all going to be -1 damage, kind of similar to things like Dreadnoughts. I know that Games Workshop seems to be handing out -1 damage like it's candy these days, but for the durable Wraithbone constructs, I think that it's a fairly reasonable one. It did seem a bit weird that Dreadnoughts are getting that these days, but the supposedly hardier Wraithlords are not, and it just seems like a bit more of a universal and useful defensive buff. Ignores AP -1 isn't nothing, but it's really specific against certain types of weaponry, and it's going to be absolutely useless against the vast majority of anti-tank firepower that's likely to be directed at them. Otherwise, it does seem like they've really made efforts to really revamp these guys. For the Wraithblade's Ghost Swords, they now get +2 attacks rather than +1. The axes don't give you -1 to hit anymore and have gone to flat damage too. And Force Shields are apparently being changed to work similar to Storm Shields now, giving you a 4+ invul save and also +1 to your saving throws too. If that really is the case, then I can easily imagine that being the go-to way to run Wraithblades now. That would make for some seriously tanky sword and axe infantry, particularly if they do get -1 damage too as well. On the Wraithguard side, they might have a bit of defense in being able to shoot in melee, and both of their D weapons are getting extra mortal wounds on wound rolls of a 6. Both of their guns also get a bit of a profile tweak as well, the size going up to 12-inch range, D6 shots at strength 10, AP -4 and damage 1, but you do have to roll to hit now, where before you didn't. The Wraith Cannon's also getting a bit upgunned as well, its range goes up to 18 inches, and now it's D3+3 damage. Both of those seem fair enough, for guns that literally open up chasms into the warp. Otherwise, just a few more interesting things out of the leaks were that Harlequins might gain a -1 to hit in melee, and also will still keep advance and charge as well. They're talking about a Craftworld miracle dice mechanic called Strands of Fate. I strongly suspect that if that is a thing, then it'll be the whole army bonus that you get if you choose not to soup the army with Drakari. The way that this is reportedly working is quite interesting. Apparently you get to roll a number of dice each turn. You put them to the side, much like the Sisters of Battle do with miracle dice, and then you can substitute those into your army. Say if you rolled a 2 on one of those dice, then you could use that dice to substitute a roll of a 2 in-game for a roll of a 6. It seems like you'd want to roll low with that, as many 1s and 2s as possible, to trade them into more powerful 6s. Obviously that's definitely a rule that we really would need to see the fine print of, but it seems interesting enough to me, and it does seem like it could represent Farseers manipulating the Strands of Fate. There's also a few tier secondaries as well, things like Aspect Warriors killing units for 1 BP each. The others sound interesting, things like Psychic Actions and things, but again I think the secondaries are a little bit hard to decipher until you've actually seen the entire rule in full print. Subtle changes could lead to really big differences as to how good they are. In any case, if a fair few of these are true, it's looking like quite good for the Craftworlds. There's certainly a book where they needed multiple units to get hefty buffs, and if these are to be believed, then Games Workshop seems to be delivering. Finally, I thought we'd just round up with a few different pictures from the Eldar Advent engine that Games Workshop's doing. The second half of the month seems to be getting more chaosy, a few pictures that seem to be a new Warpsmith or Chosen kit perhaps, but there's some definite identifiable stuff on the Eldar side. The top left is most certainly an Eldar chainsword of some sort, could easily be a character chainsword, Storm Guardians or Striking Scorpions. There's not really too much to differentiate that one. The bottom left I think is a Reaper launcher. It looks too small to be an Eldar missile launcher, so that is again a potentially very interesting choice. Obviously Reaper launchers make you think Dark Reapers, and they are one of the many Aspect Warrior kits that needs an update. But again, I think it could just as easily be a character upgrade. There was an Autarch in the past that you could give a Reaper launcher to. So with a new rumoured Autarch kit coming, it might well be one of the options that you can give him for a gun. Otherwise, there's another jet bike part, not really very specific either, and just basically doubly confirms that a jet bike is indeed coming. Almost certainly those new Ranger Shroud runners, if all the leaks are to be believed. And then we've got a nice quote, "Into the fire you must plunge, and all be brought to ashes." Now that might well go with the other one that we had earlier in the month, and it's kind of hard to read it as anything less than an Avatar of Cain reference. After all, you have to sacrifice an Eldar warrior to awaken the Avatar in the time of the Craftworld's direst need. Again, the Avatar's absolutely ripe for being redone by Games Workshop. The kit's a very old one, and certainly has been outgrown by all of its peers over the years. So overall, plenty of good stuff for the Eldar. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'll certainly look forward to hearing any other insights that you have. If you'd like to see more like this, I'll certainly be keeping up with any more of Games Workshop's news, rumours or releases, so feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to hear more. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention one way in which you can support it, and that's the Auspex Tactics Patreon page down in the video description below. Making all the videos does take a fair amount of time, and if you are enjoying regularly, any support is enormously appreciated. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, including seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next for the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with the chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.